On November 4, 2008, Senator Barack Obama of Illinois was elected President of the United States over Senator John McCain of Arizona. Obama became the 44th president and the first Hawaiian-born mixed-race African-American to be elected to that office. He was subsequently elected to a second term over former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. In his special report, we'll take a look at Obama's evolution as the President of the United States. Well, let's begin the program by trying to get to know President Obama a little better. Where he hails from, what was his childhood like, his education and career in law. Barack Hussein Obama was born on August 4, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. His mother, Ann Dunham, grew up in Wichita, Kansas, where her father worked on oil rigs during the Great Depression. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Dunham's father, Stanley, enlisted in the service and marched across Europe in Patton's army. Dunham's mother, Madeline, went to work on a bomber assembly line. After the war, the couple studied on the GI Bill, bought a house through the federal housing program and, after several moves, landed in Hawaii. Barack Obama's father, Barack Obama Sr., was born of Lu ethnicity in Nyanza province, Kenya. Obama Sr. grew up herding goats in Africa, eventually earning a scholarship that allowed him to leave Kenya and pursue his dreams of college in Hawaii. While studying at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, Obama Sr. met fellow student Ann Dunham and they married on February 2, 1961. Barack was born 6 months later. Obama did not have a relationship with his father as a child. When his son was still an infant, Obama Sr. relocated to Massachusetts to attend Harvard University, pursuing a PhD. Barack's parents officially separated several months later and ultimately divorced in March 1964 when their son was 2. In 1965, Obama Sr. returned to Kenya.
There were other ways in which Obama really was quite clearly not from the mainstream. He was born in Hawaii, mixed parentage of course, but not just mixed in racial terms, but also mixed in terms of mother being American, father being from Kenya. And then the father and the mother separate. She eventually marries an Indonesian, and the young Barack grows up in Jakarta.
In 1965, Dunham married Lolo Sotoro, an East-West Center student from Indonesia. A year later, the family moved to Jakarta, Indonesia, where Barack's half-sister, Maya Sotoro, was born. Several incidents in Indonesia left Dunham afraid for her son's safety and education. So, at the age of 10, Barack was sent back to Hawaii to live with his maternal grandparents. His mother and sister later joined them. While living with his grandparents, Obama enrolled in the esteemed Punahou Academy, excelling in basketball and graduating with academic honors in 1979. As one of only 3 black students at the school, Obama became conscious of racism and what it meant to be African American. After high school, Obama studied at Occidental College in Los Angeles for 2 years. He then transferred to Columbia University in New York, graduating in 1983 with a degree in political science. After working in the business sector for 2 years, Obama moved to Chicago in 1985. There he worked on the South Side as a community organizer for low-income residents in the Roseland and the Altgeld Gardens communities. It was during this time that Barack Obama, who said he was not raised in a religious household, joined the Trinity United Church of Christ. He also visited relatives in Kenya, which included an emotional visit to the graves of his biological father and paternal grandfather. Obama returned from Kenya with a sense of renewal, entering Harvard Law School in 1988.
He came to Harvard Law School in 1988. At that moment, where do I belong was that search of identity. And then he discovered, through Harvard Law School, that he belonged to the top because he was the president of Harvard Law Review in 1990.
The next year, he met Michelle Robinson, an associate at the Chicago law firm of Sidley Austin. She was assigned to be Obama's advisor during a summer internship at the firm, and not long after, the couple began dating.
Why he was junior to her, she was working with a law firm, and Barack was appointed as an intern. So it is that as an intern he met her.
Obama graduated from Harvard magna cum laude in 1991. After law school, Obama returned to Chicago to practice as a civil rights lawyer. He also taught part-time at the University of Chicago Law School for 12 years, first as a lecturer and then as a professor, and helped organize voter registration drives during Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign. On October 3, 1992, he and Michelle were married. They moved to Kenwood on Chicago's South Side and welcomed two daughters several years later, Malia, born in 1998, and Sasha, born in 2001.
Well, now that we've taken a look at Obama's early life and education, let's take a look at where the foundation stone of Obama's political career was laid. Let's find out what led to the election of America's first African-American president.
Obama's advocacy work led him to run for a seat in the Illinois State Senate. He ran as a Democrat and won the election in 1996. During these years, Obama worked with both Democrats and Republicans to draft legislation on ethics and expand healthcare services and early childhood education programs for the poor.
In many ways, equally stellar, I think, as the sense that you see him entering the Illinois Senate and, in a sense, getting blooded there. And then this opportunity falls into his lap when you have both the Democrat and Republican contenders for the U.S. Senate seat, one of the U.S. Senate seats for Illinois, deciding not to run. So you had a completely wide open race.
In 2000, Obama made an unsuccessful Democratic primary run for the U.S. House of Representatives seat held by four-time incumbent candidate Bobby Rush. Undeterred, he created a campaign committee in 2002 and began raising funds to run for a seat in the U.S. Senate in 2004. With the help of political consultant David Axelrod, Obama began assessing his prospects of a Senate win. Obama, encouraged by poll numbers, decided to run for the U.S. Senate open seat vacated by Republican Peter Fitzgerald. In the 2004 Democratic primary, he won 52% of the vote, defeating multi-millionaire businessman Blair Hull and Illinois Comptroller Daniel Hines.
I think the fact that he was selected to give that address at the convention and the manner in which he utilized that platform to create a new architecture of hope for, I think, millions and millions of Americans, not just African Americans or women who felt marginalized by George W. Bush's presidency, but I think, millions of white Americans, millions of all kinds of Americans who were upset.
That summer, he was invited to deliver the keynote speech in support of John Kerry at the 2004 Democratic National Convention in Boston. After the convention, Obama returned to his U.S. Senate bid in Illinois. His opponent in the general election was supposed to be Republican primary winner Jack Ryan, a wealthy former investment banker. However, Ryan withdrew from the race in June 2004 following public disclosure of unsubstantiated sexual deviancy allegations by Ryan's ex-wife, actress Jeri Ryan. In August 2004, diplomat and former presidential candidate Alan Keyes accepted the Republican nomination to replace Ryan.
We think we're going to do well tomorrow, no doubt about it.
In the November 2004 general election, Obama received 70% of the votes to Keyes' 27%, the largest electoral victory in Illinois history.
The fact that he could rise so quickly up the state-level food chain, political food chain, and then get propelled into the Senate without, say, becoming a congressman earlier or whatever, is something that's really quite remarkable. And to go then from being a first-term senator to becoming president is not is not the normal route for most U.S. presidents.
With his win, Barack Obama became only the third African American elected to the U.S. Senate since the Reconstruction.
Thank you, Illinois!
Well, it's time for a short break now. Still to come, we'll take a look at what led to Barack Obama becoming the first mixed-race president of the United States. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. In February 2007, Obama made headlines when he announced his candidacy for the 2008 Democratic presidential nomination. He was locked in a tight battle with former First Lady and then US Senator from New York, Hillary Clinton. However, Obama became the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, and Senator Clinton delivered her full support to Obama for the duration of his campaign. Here's more.
November 4, 2008, Barack Obama defeated Republican presidential nominee John McCain and thus won the election as the 44th President of the United States and became the first African American to hold this office.
Thank you.
His running mate, Delaware Senator Joe Biden, became Vice President. Obama's inauguration took place on January 20, 2009.
With profound gratitude and great humility, I accept your nomination for presidency of the United States. Good evening.
When Obama took office, he inherited a global economic recession, 2 ongoing foreign wars, and the lowest international favorability rating for the United States ever.
And in any case, the performance of the US economy, at least in terms of growth, in terms of employment generation, has been better than under Obama than it's been in, say, Europe. Not as great as he would like it to have been. I think chronic unemployment for in certain areas, certain sections of society remains a huge challenge.
He campaigned on an ambitious agenda of financial reform, alternative energy, and reinventing education and healthcare, all while bringing down the national debt. Because these issues were intertwined with the economic well-being of the nation, he believed all would have to be undertaken simultaneously.
Led those who've been told for so long by so many to be cynical and fearful and doubtful about what we can achieve, to put their hands on the arc of history and bend it once more toward the hope of a better day. It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, in this election, at this defining moment, change has come to America.
During his inauguration speech, Obama summarized the situation by saying, "Today I say to you that the challenges we face are real, they are serious and they are many. They will not be met easily or in a short span of time, but know this, America, they will be met."
For me, it's a very proud moment because the person who gave the oath, Chief Justice of America, Chief Justice Roberts, he went to Harvard Law School. First Lady, Michelle Obama, class of 88, she went to Harvard Law School. President-elect himself, class of 91, went to Harvard Law School. Me, class of 1990, went to Harvard Law School. So, you know, the person who is giving the oath, the person who is taking the oath, the person who is holding the Bible as a First Lady, also from that, and me standing in that, watching that proceeding, it's like a, you know, your own family. So that was very proud moment. And in fact, tears came down when I watched that.
Between Inauguration Day and April 29, 2009, the Obama administration took to the field on many fronts. Obama coaxed Congress to expand healthcare insurance for children and provide legal protection for women seeking equal pay. A $787 billion stimulus bill was passed to promote short-term economic growth. Over his first 100 days in office, President Obama also undertook a complete overhaul of America's foreign policy. He committed an additional 21,000 troops to Afghanistan and set an August 2010 date for withdrawal of US troops from Iraq.
He was one of the men who spoke against Iraq war. So that is one of the major things. He wanted American withdrawal of troops from Iraq as early as possible. He was very critical of Bush for foreign policy as far as Iraq war was concerned.
In more dramatic incidents, he took on pirates off the coast of Somalia and prepared the nation for a swine flu attack. For his efforts, he was awarded the 2009 Nobel Peace Prize by the Nobel Committee in Norway.
His Nobel Prize, which was given after 9 months of his presidency, is very significant because I think what he did, more as a senator, more as a lawyer, what he did in terms of peace relating to arms control, resolution of the Iraq war and climate change and building of the black community, did contribute as a feeder for being considered nominated for Nobel Prize and finally getting the Nobel Prize.
On January 27, 2010, President Obama delivered his first State of the Union speech. During his oration, Obama addressed the challenges of the economy, proposing a fee for larger banks, announcing a possible freeze on government spending in 2010, and speaking against the Supreme Court's reversal of a law capping campaign finance spending.
The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act that I will sign today, a plan that meets the principles I laid out in January, is the most sweeping economic recovery package in our history. It's the product of broad consultation and the recipient of broad support from business leaders, unions, public interest groups, from the Chamber of Commerce and the National Association of Manufacturers, as well as the AFL-CIO.
In the second part of his term as president, Obama faced a number of obstacles and scored some victories as well. He signed his healthcare reform plan known as the Affordable Care Act into law in March 2010. On the economic front, Obama worked hard to steer the country through difficult financial times. He signed the Budget Control Act of 2011 in an effort to rein in government spending and prevent the government from defaulting on its financial obligations. Obama also handled a number of military and security issues during his presidency. In 2011, he helped repeal the military policy known as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which prevented openly gay troops from serving in the US Armed Forces. He also gave the green light to a 2011 covert operation in Pakistan which led to the killing of infamous Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden by a team of US Navy SEALs.
I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
Obama made headlines again in June 2012 when a mandate included in his Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act was upheld by the US Supreme Court, thus allowing other important pieces of the law to stay intact.
Barack Obama was elected to a second presidential term in 2012, defeating Republican Mitt Romney by reassembling the political coalition that boosted him to victory 4 years ago. Obama, the nation's first African-American president, scored a decisive victory by stringing together a series of narrow ones. Of the election's 7 major battlegrounds, he won at least 6.
As he did in 2008 during his campaign for a second presidential term, Obama focused on grassroots initiatives. Celebrities such as Anna Wintour and Sarah Jessica Parker aided the president's campaign by hosting fundraising events.
I'm not ready to give up on the fight. I've got a lot more fight left in me. But to wage that fight on behalf of American families, I need you to still have some fight in you too.
In the 2012 election, Obama faced Republican opponent Mitt Romney and Romney's vice presidential running mate, U.S. Representative Paul Ryan. On the evening of November 6, 2012, Obama was announced the winner of the election, gaining a second four-year term as president.
The fact that he was expected to do well and perhaps romp home accounted for the fairly thin, of the fairly, shall we say, weak slate of candidates that the Republican Party threw up initially. And when they finally settled on Mitt Romney, who really is quite lightweight at the national political level, it was clear that Obama was going to take this home pretty easily.
Nearly 1 month after President Obama's re-election, the nation endured one of its most tragic school shootings to date. On December 14, 2012, 20 children and 6 adult workers were shot to death at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
He wanted the sale of arms within the United States, which is the right of every citizen to have carry arm for his self-protection. He wanted to restrict that because this was contributing to law and order problem.
Barack Obama officially began his second term on January 21, 2013. The inauguration was held on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
America's possibilities are limitless, for we possess all the qualities that this world without boundaries demands. Youth and drive, diversity and openness, an endless capacity for risk, and a gift for reinvention. My fellow Americans, we are made for this moment, and we will seize it so long as we seize it together.
After the inauguration, Obama led the nation through many challenges, none more difficult perhaps than the bombing of the Boston Marathon on April 15, 2013. 3 people were killed and more than 200 were injured in this terror attack.
We will get to the bottom of this, and we will find out who did this. We'll find out why they did this. Any responsible individuals, any responsible groups will feel the full weight of justice.
By June, Obama had suffered a significant drop in his approval ratings. He declined to an approval rating of only 45%, his lowest rating in more than 18 months.
It doesn't surprise me that ratings are low, but at the end of 8 years, perhaps Bill Clinton had slightly better ratings, but even he was embroiled in all kinds of controversies. George W. Bush, I think people gave him 2 terms, but by the end were very, very anxious to see him leave. So this is, I think, in the nature of US politics. Perhaps the founding fathers of the US Constitution had great wisdom and foresight when they limited a president to just 2 terms, perhaps realizing that this was the maximum that the people of America could take.
Obama found himself grappling with an international crisis in late August and September 2013. It was discovered that Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad had used chemical weapons against civilians. Obama had to manage more challenges in the area of foreign relations around this time as well. In October 2013, German Chancellor Angela Merkel revealed that the US National Security Agency had been listening in to her cell phone calls. In the wake of several controversies, Obama saw his approval rating drop to a new low in November 2013.
We don't know what is their mandate. NSA has gone in, snooping into the offices of the leaders, tapping their phone, taking all sort of things. Now, there has been no direction. That's one of the criticism, that NSA, there was no direction on NSA what to pick up and what not to pick up.
In March 2014, in an effort to provide relief for Ukrainians following the 2014 Ukrainian Revolution, it was announced that Obama had ordered a round of sanctions against those involved in the Crimean crisis.
I think the US and its Western allies were too quick to embrace ultra-nationalist elements within Ukraine, which made the Russian-speaking minority feel insecure and set in motion a sequence of events that led to conflict in the Crimea and eventually Crimea's secession, and of course the war in eastern Ukraine.
Obama faced more difficulties at home and abroad later that year. In addition to the ongoing troubles in Ukraine, tensions between Israelis and Palestinians erupted into violence during the summer. He also faced a domestic situation regarding the US-Mexico border, with tens of thousands of children making the perilous crossing alone. In September 2014, Obama led an attack against the Islamic State. The United States, along with several Arab countries, launched airstrikes on targets related to the extremist group. Obama also appeared at the United Nations to call for more nations to rally together against ISIS.
Those who have joined ISIL should leave the battlefield while they can. Those who continue to fight for a hateful cause will find they are increasingly alone. For we will not succumb to threats, and we will demonstrate that the future belongs to those who build, not those who destroy.
That November, Obama had to cope with new challenges on the home front. Republicans made an impressive showing on election day, changing the balance of power in the Senate. The Democrats lost their majority in the Senate. Obama must now contend with Republicans controlling both the House and the Senate for the final 2 years of his term. Obama flexed his presidential power in December, moving to re-establish diplomatic relations with Cuba. This policy change came after an exchange of prisoners between the two nations.
I think by now 2011 and 12, Obama realized the opening up relation with Cuba became essential, as Cuba is not that kind after Fidel Castro passing away. So the generation of Fidel Castro people do not exist there, the leader doesn't exist there. I think the Obama period became an ideal period to restore Cuban relationship.
And now in January 2015, Obama will visit India for a second time during his tenure. A first for any American president, and will be the first US president to attend Republic Day celebrations in India.
Well, that's it on this special report. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching.